What if I told you one of the boys' most emotionally powerful relationships just lost the very thing that made it special? Yeah, Kimiko and Frenchie finally becoming a couple in Season 5 should feel like a huge payoff, but instead it feels strangely hollow. And once you really break it down, it's hard not to see why this long-awaited romance might actually be a step backward for the show. From the very beginning, The Boys has always been the complete opposite of a feel-good story. This is a world where love doesn't fix people, it exposes them. Even relationships that seem stable on the surface, like Huey and Starlight, are constantly dragged through chaos, trauma, and impossible choices. Nothing here is ever clean, ideal, or predictable. And that's exactly what made Kimiko and Frenchie stand out so much in the first place. Their connection wasn't built on traditional romance. It wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Instead, it came from shared trauma, quiet understanding, and a bond that felt deeply human in a world that often feels anything but. Kimiko didn't even need words for their relationship to work. The way they communicated through expressions, gestures, and presence alone made their dynamic feel more intimate than most fully written love stories on television. And that's what gave their relationship its edge. In a series filled with broken families and toxic emotional cycles, especially with characters like Homelander, Billy Butcher, and Soldier Boy Kimiko and Frenchie, were something rare. They weren't perfect, but they were safe for each other. They represented healing instead of destruction, empathy instead of control. Meanwhile, nearly every other relationship in the show spirals into dysfunction. Struggles endlessly to hold his family together. The Deep's entire romantic history is a disaster. Even the relationships explored in General V carry that same chaotic, unstable energy. At one point, Huey's bond with his father had that same sense of innocence. But even that ended in tragedy, which left Kimiko and Frenchie as the last truly pure connection fans could hold on to. But then Season 5 changes everything. After seasons of build-up, hesitation, and emotional tension, the show finally pushes them into a full romantic relationship. On paper, this should feel like a reward. It's what many viewers had been waiting for since Season 1. But in execution, something feels off. Instead of evolving naturally, their story suddenly starts to resemble a formula we've seen countless times before. The classic, will they, won't they, stretched far beyond its peak. And that's where the cracks begin to show. Every time they get close, something pulls them apart again. Every emotional step forward is followed by another forced setback. It begins to feel less like organic storytelling and more like a loop designed to delay resolution. Ironically, this kind of structure feels more at home in a typical romantic comedy than in a show like The Boys, which built its identity on subverting those exact tropes. The biggest issue is that the romance doesn't add anything new. It replaces what was already working. Their original bond didn't need labels. It didn't need forced tension. It thrived in subtlety. But now, by categorizing it as a romance, the show unintentionally strips away the uniqueness that made it stand out. It turns something deeply personal into something familiar, and that familiarity is exactly what The Boys usually avoids. Even Kimiko's character evolution plays into this shift. Her gaining the ability to speak is a powerful and meaningful development on its own, but at the same time, it changes the foundation of her relationship with Frenchie. Their nonverbal communication was a huge part of what made their bond feel so distinct. Now that it's gone, their interactions feel more conventional, and that quiet emotional depth is harder to find. That doesn't mean their scenes are bad, not at all. Karen Fukuhara and Tomer Capone still bring incredible chemistry and authenticity to every moment they share. You can feel the history between these characters. You can see the care, the pain, and the connection. But even great performances can't fully compensate for a storyline that feels like it's running out of direction. And that's the real concern going into the final stretch of the series. The show has spent so much time circling around their relationship that it now risks becoming repetitive. What once felt like a slow, meaningful build now feels stretched thin. The lack of a clear, satisfying resolution makes their arc feel less impactful than it should be at this stage of the story. In many ways, Kimiko and Frenchie were stronger when they weren't defined by romance at all. They represented something deeper. Two people finding comfort, understanding, and healing in each other without needing to fit into a traditional mold. By trying to reshape that into a more familiar narrative, the boys may have unintentionally weakened one of its most unique dynamics. Still, there's hope. If this truly is the beginning of the endgame, then there's still time for the show to course correct and give these characters the conclusion they deserve. Whether that means bringing them closer together in a meaningful way or acknowledging that their bond works better outside of romance, the final outcome could still redefine how we see their journey. But what do you think? Did the boys improve Kimiko's and Frenchie's relationship by making it romantic? Or did it lose something essential along the way? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives, breakdowns, and brutally honest takes on your favorite shows, make sure you subscribe, because we're covering everything leading up to the boys' finale.